Welcome to my channel. I am Chen. Let's begin.
So here's the thing about humans that nobody in the Galactic Council bothered to understand. They smile when they're angry. I, Protocol Officer Vask of the Tremoli Confederation, learned this fact approximately 4 minutes too late. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. Back when we all thought humans were just another irrelevant species from a backwater system. Spoiler alert, we were catastrophically wrong. The council chamber was packed. I mean seriously packed. Every delegate, every observer, every bureaucrat with even a hint of authority had shown up to watch the humans get rejected again, because apparently, watching the same species get told no for the 50th year in a row never gets old. Humans are persistent like that. Annoyingly persistent, like that one parasite from Rigel 7 that burrows into your audio receptors and just keeps buzzing forever. Ambassador Daniel Grant stood in the petitioner's circle, looking perfectly calm in his weird human clothing. The man had been doing this dance for 5 years now, ever since the previous ambassador retired, or had a breakdown. Honestly, we stopped keeping track. Honored Council, Grant began, his voice carrying that strange human quality that sounds simultaneously respectful and like he's laughing at a joke nobody else gets. Earth returns to formally request full membership in the Galactic Unity Council. We believe our technological contributions, diplomatic efforts, and humanitarian missions over the past 50 years demonstrate our commitment to galactic peace and prosperity. Supreme Arbiter Kelksith, a floating jellyfish thing from Sector 9, pulsed with what I'd learned to recognize as condescending amusement. Ambassador Grant, the Council appreciates Earth's enthusiasm. However, after careful deliberation, we must once again decline your petition. Grant's smile didn't change. That should have been our first warning. I see, he said quietly. May I ask what concerns remain unaddressed? We've shared our medical technology freely, saving approximately 43 billion lives across 22 species. We've provided disaster relief to 37 worlds. We've developed the quantum resonance drives that half the galaxy now uses. We've asked for nothing in return except consideration for membership. Your contributions are noted, Council Member Threx rumbled, his rocky form shifting with dismissive finality. But Earth remains fundamentally incompatible with Council standards. Your species is too volatile, too aggressive, too unpredictable. Unpredictable, Grant repeated, tasting the word. Interesting assessment. What specifically makes us unpredictable? Your entire planetary history. Junior Delegate Pixven squeaked, her fur bristling with indignation. You fought wars continuously for 10,000 years. You built weapons capable of destroying your own planet multiple times. You celebrate violence in your entertainment. You eat other living creatures. You voluntarily jump out of flying vehicles for recreation. That last one is called skydiving, Grant said mildly. It's fun. You should try it. We should try. Pixven's voice rose to a pitch that hurt my sensory organs. This is exactly what we mean. You think hurling yourself towards certain death is fun. Well, not certain death, Grant corrected. We use parachutes, usually. The chamber erupted in scandalized clicks, buzzes, and burbles. I watched Grant carefully. His smile still hadn't changed, but his eyes had. They'd gone flat, cold, like looking into the void between stars. Let me see if I understand correctly, Grant said, his voice cutting through the chaos like a plasma blade through tissue. Earth has spent 50 years proving our peaceful intentions. We've shared technology. We've saved lives. We've contributed to galactic infrastructure. We've followed every protocol, met every requirement, exceeded every expectation, and you're rejecting us because we like skydiving? You're missing the point, Kelksith pulsed irritably. Your species cannot be trusted. Your aggression is innate. You're biologically programmed for violence. Biologically programmed, Grant echoed. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. Not a polite chuckle, a genuine from-the-belly laugh that echoed through the chamber. Everyone fell silent. Laughter in the council chamber was unprecedented, inappropriate, possibly illegal. Oh, that's rich, Grant said, wiping his eyes. That's genuinely hilarious. You want to talk about biological programming? Let's talk about biological programming. He tapped his datapad and holographic displays filled the chamber. Council Member Threx, your species reproduces by crushing smaller life forms and absorbing their genetic material. Delegate Pixven, your ancestors were pack hunters who literally ate their wounded. Arbiter Kelksith, Your species still practices ritual combat where the loser gets dissolved. slowly. The silence now had a different quality. Uncomfortable, tense. Every species in this chamber has violence in its history, Grant continued, his voice pleasant but his eyes still dead cold. Every single one. The difference is we're honest about it. We don't pretend we evolved from peaceful vegetarians who held hands and sang songs. We came from predators. We survived ice ages, plagues, asteroid impacts, and each other. We earned our place at the top of our food chain through blood, sweat, and sheer stubborn refusal to die. He looked around the chamber, making eye contact with each delegate. But here's what you can't seem to grasp. We learned, we grew, we built something better, not because it was easy, but because we decided our children deserved a world where they didn't have to fight just to survive. A touching speech, Kelksith pulsed dismissively. But it changes nothing. The Council's decision stands. Earth's petition is denied. Grant stood there for a long moment. Then he did something that made my circulatory fluid run cold. He stopped smiling. I see, he said quietly. Then I suppose there's nothing more to discuss. Indeed, Kelksith agreed. Perhaps in another 50 years Earth will have matured sufficiently. No, Grant interrupted, there won't be another petition. This was Earth's final offer. Something in his tone made every delegate lean forward slightly. Final offer, Threx rumbled. Are you threatening the Council? Threatening? Grant looked genuinely confused. No. I'm simply informing you that Earth is withdrawing from the petition process. We're done asking nicely. Done asking, I heard myself say before I could stop myself. What does that mean? Grant turned those cold eyes on me. It means, Protocol Officer Vask, that for 50 years Earth has been operating under the assumption that the Galactic Council represented the best path toward peaceful cooperation. We believed in your principles, your ideals, your commitment to mutual prosperity. He started walking toward the exit. We were wrong. You're not interested in peace. You're interested in control. You don't want partners. You want subjects. And Earth doesn't kneel. Ambassador Grant, Kelksith's voice carried a warning edge. Choose your next words carefully. Grant stopped at the doorway and looked back. My next words? Okay, here they are. Good luck with the Kryn incursion. The chamber went dead silent. How do you know about the Kryn? Threx demanded, his rocky form crackling with sudden alarm. How do we know? Grant's smile returned, but it wasn't friendly anymore. It was predatory. We've known about the Kryn massing at the edge of Council space for 6 months. We detected their fleet movements, decoded their communication protocols, and analyzed their tactical patterns. We tried to share this information with the Council 4 months ago. You classified our report as speculation from an unrecognized source and ignored it. My data pad started buzzing frantically. I glanced down and felt my organs clench. Multiple security alerts. Sensor readings from the border sectors. Oh no. The Kryn invasion fleet, Grant continued conversationally, will breach Council space in approximately 72 hours. They're bringing 4,000 warships, targeting the 17 most populated core worlds. Estimated casualties in the first wave alone, 200 billion beings. This is preposterous, Pixven shrieked. Our defense network would have detected. Your defense network has more holes than a Vexian cheese wheel, Grant interrupted. We found 47 critical vulnerabilities in your sensor grid alone. We sent you a detailed report. You filed it under non-urgent suggestions from probationary species. That was 2 years ago. Kelksith pulsed rapidly, colors shifting through the spectrum. If what you're saying is true, Earth must share its defensive capabilities immediately. The Council requires. Grant's laugh was sharp and humorless. The Council requires nothing from Earth. We're not members, remember? You made that very clear. We're just too aggressive, too violent, too unpredictable to be trusted with a seat at the grown-ups table. But billions of lives, I started. Will die, yes, Grant said flatly, unless the Council figures out how to defend itself, which you won't. Your military hasn't fought a real war in 800 years. You've gotten soft, comfortable, complacent. The Kryn have been fighting constantly for 3 centuries. They're good at it, really good. You're going to get slaughtered. He turned to leave again. Wait. Kelksith pulsed desperately. Earth cannot simply abandon the galaxy to this threat. You have a moral obligation. Grant spun back so fast I flinched. Moral obligation? Moral obligation? Let me tell you about moral obligations, Arbiter. For 50 years Earth has fulfilled every moral obligation imaginable. We saved your people from the Crimson Plague even though you called us disease-carrying primitives. We rebuilt Pixven's homeworld after the seismic catastrophe. Even though you voted against recognizing our sovereignty, we shared our agricultural advances that ended famine on 22 worlds, even though you restricted our travel rights. His voice rose, echoing through the chamber. We offered you partnership, we offered you friendship, we offered you everything we had, and you spat in our faces, repeatedly, for 50 years. So don't you dare talk to me about moral obligations. The silence that followed was absolute. Grant took a deep breath, visibly calming himself. When he spoke again, his voice was quiet, controlled, terrifying. Here's what's going to happen. In 72 hours, the Kryn are going to hit your core worlds hard. Your defense fleet will hold for maybe 6 hours before complete collapse, maybe less. Your evacuation protocols are a joke. Your emergency systems are outdated, and your military commanders have never seen real combat. He started ticking points off on his fingers. You'll lose Sector 3 completely in the first day. Sector 7 will fall within 48 hours. By the end of the first week, the Kryn will control approximately 40% of Council space. By the end of the first month, the Galactic Council will cease to exist. Unless, Threx asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Unless nothing, Grant said. That's not a negotiation, that's a prediction. Earth isn't coming to save you. We offered to be part of your civilization. You said no, so we built our own. My datapad chimed. New intelligence report. I scanned it quickly and felt my organs turn to ice. Ambassador, I said slowly, according to this report, Earth has been constructing military installations in the outer reaches for the past 15 years. Defensive platforms, shipyards, training facilities. You've built an entire parallel defense network. Grant nodded. We have. Because we're not stupid. We knew the Krem were coming. We've been preparing. While you were busy feeling superior and rejecting our petitions, we were building the largest, most advanced military force in the galaxy. How many ships? Kellite asked, colors flashing with what I recognized as fear. Grant's smile widened. Classified, but let's just say that when the Kryn hit Council space, they're going to get a very unpleasant surprise when they reach the sectors containing species who accepted Earth's friendship. Those species will be protected, fully, absolutely. The Kryn won't touch them. And the rest of Council space, I whispered. Not our problem, Grant said cheerfully. You wanted us to stay in our designated sector, remember? So that's what we'll do. We'll protect our interests, our allies, and our friends. The Council voted to exclude us, so we'll respect that decision, completely. He headed for the door one final time. Enjoy the next 72 hours, Council. I suggest you spend them evacuating your core worlds, or praying, whatever works for you. Wait, I shouted, abandoning all protocol. There must be something Earth wants, terms we can meet, please. Grant paused, looked back. You want to negotiate now? After 50 years of rejection? After treating us like dangerous children who couldn't be trusted? Yes, Kelksith pulsed frantically. Name your terms. Anything, anything, Grant repeated thoughtfully. Okay, here are Earth's terms. Unconditional surrender of the Galactic Council. Complete dissolution of current power structures. Reorganization under human military authority until the Kryn threat is eliminated. Full voting rights for all species based on population and contribution, not ancient treaties. And a formal apology. Broadcast across every communication channel in the galaxy, admitting that you were wrong about humanity. The chamber erupted in outrage. Absolutely not, Threx roared. We will not surrender our sovereignty to then die, Grant said simply. Those are Earth's terms. Take them or leave them, but decide fast. You've got 72 hours before those terms expire along with most of your population. He walked out. The chamber descended into absolute chaos. Delegates screaming, arguing, demanding action. Kelksith's colors cycled so fast he looked like a disco ball. I sat there staring at my datapad, watching real-time intelligence updates flood in. The Kryn fleet was exactly where Grant said it would be, moving exactly how he predicted. Earth had known. For months, they'd tried to warn us, we'd ignored them, and now they were going to let us burn. Protocol Officer Vask, Kelksith's voice cut through the noise. Establish emergency communication with Earth's military command. We need to negotiate. On what grounds? I asked, my voice hollow. We just rejected their final offer. Then make them another offer. Promise them anything. We need their help. I looked at the tactical displays. The Kryn fleet was massive, overwhelming, unstoppable. Unless you had Earth's help. I'll try, I said quietly, but I don't think they're in a listening mood anymore. I opened a channel to Earth's military headquarters. The response came faster than expected. Not from Ambassador Grant, from someone else. Someone whose face appeared on screen wearing a uniform I didn't recognize, festooned with medals and insignia that screamed military authority. "This is Admiral Victoria Kane, Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces," the human said, her expression carved from stone. "I'm told the Galactic Council wants to talk. How nice. Earth spent 50 years wanting to talk. You weren't interested then. Why should we be interested now?" "Admiral," I began. "The Kren are your problem, not ours," Kane interrupted. "Earth protects Earth's interests. The Council made it very clear we weren't part of those interests, so we'll be focusing on our allies. The 53 species who actually appreciated our help and formed partnerships with us over the past 5 decades. They'll be fine. You, not so much." The connection terminated. I looked at Kelksith. "They're not coming. They have to," Pixvan wailed. "They can't just abandon us." "They can," I said slowly, the horrible truth settling over me like ash. "They absolutely can, because we're not their responsibility. We made sure of that." Threx's form crackled ominously. "Then we fight alone." "We'll lose," I said flatly. "The simulations are clear. Without Earth's technology, without their tactical expertise, without their military support, we don't stand a chance." "Then what do you suggest?" Kelseith pulsed, his colors dim with despair. I looked at the countdown timer on my display. 71 hours 43 minutes until the Kryn arrived. "I suggest," I said quietly, "we start writing our surrender terms, because the Council just learned what happens when you mistake patience for weakness. Humanity offered peace," I continued, my voice bitter. "We rejected it, repeatedly, with contempt, and now we're about to discover what humanity offers instead." On my screen, new reports flooded in, Earth's fleet movements, not toward Council space, away from it, protecting their allies, abandoning us, exactly like they promised. 68 hours. That's how long it took for the Galactic Council to go from arrogant certainty to complete panic. I watched it happen in real time from my position in the Emergency Command Center, a glorified bunker beneath the Council headquarters that hadn't been used in 700 years. The dust covers were still on half the equipment when we arrived. That should have told us something about how prepared we were for actual war. Supreme Arbiter Kelksith's colors had settled into a sickly grey-green that I'd never seen before. Apparently that's what jellyfish look like when they're having an existential crisis. "Status report," he pulsed weakly. Council member Threx consulted the tactical display, his rocky form dimmer than usual. "The Kryn Vanguard entered Sector 347 minutes ago. Our defense fleet engaged immediately. And," Kelksith asked, though we all knew the answer, "complete annihilation. 18 minutes of combat. We lost 437 vessels. The Kryn lost 3. The silence in the command center was broken only by the quiet sobbing of Junior Delegate Pixvan, curled into a ball in the corner. "How?" someone whispered. "How are they so much stronger?" "They're not stronger," I said, staring at the tactical data. "They're experienced. They know how to fight. We don't. Simple as that." "Ambassador Grant tried to tell us," whispered one of the junior analysts, a Vexian named Klopp, 6 months ago. "He sent detailed tactical analysis of Kryn combat doctrine. I read the report. It was brilliant, comprehensive. It explained exactly how they would attack, where they would strike, how to counter their formations." "And the Council?" I asked, though I already knew. "Filed it under unsolicited advice from unrecognized military sources," Klopp said bitterly. "Nobody even read it." My datapad chimed. Another emergency transmission, this one from Sector 7. I didn't want to look. I looked anyway. Sector 7 defense stations are reporting Kryn forces have bypassed the primary fleet and are heading directly for the civilian population centers, I reported, my voice mechanical. "Estimated time to planetary bombardment, 4 hours. Can we evacuate?" Kelksith pulsed desperately. "Evacuate 14 billion beings in 4 hours?" I laughed, and it came out slightly hysterical. "Our fastest evacuation on record took 6 days, and that was for a single city. We don't have the ships, we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have Earth." Threx finished quietly. "Yeah, that." My secondary communication panel lit up. Private channel, encrypted, source unknown. I almost ignored it. Then I saw the encryption pattern. Human military standard. "I've got an incoming transmission," I said slowly. "Human origin." Every head in the command center turned toward me. Put it through, Kelseth ordered. The main display flickered, and Admiral Victoria Kane's face appeared. She looked different than during our last conversation, less angry, more tired. "Galactic Council," she said without preamble, "I'm told your defense of Sector 7 is going poorly." "Admiral Kane," Kelseth pulsed, colors brightening with desperate hope. "Have you reconsidered Earth's position? Will you help us?" "Help you?" Kane's eyebrow rose. "No, absolutely not. Earth's position hasn't changed. You rejected our partnership. You made your choice. Live with it." The hope in the room died as quickly as it had appeared. "Then why are you contacting us?" I asked. Kane's expression shifted slightly. "Because I wanted you to watch what happens next. Consider it a learning opportunity." The tactical display changed, showing a real-time feed of Sector 7. The Kryn fleet was clearly visible, massive dreadnoughts bearing down on the inhabited worlds like predators closing on wounded prey. "Sector 7 contains the Mixali home system," Kane said. Conversationally, population approximately 9 billion. The Mixali were one of the first species to accept Earth's friendship treaty 20 years ago. They didn't care that the Council considered us dangerous primitives. They needed help with a fungal blight that was destroying their food supply, and we helped them. No conditions, no requirements, just help. "What's your point?" Threx rumbled. "My point is that the Mixali are Earth's friends," Kane said, her voice hardening. "And Earth protects its friends. Watch." On the display, space suddenly rippled, like dropping a stone in still water. Concentric waves of distortion spread across the sector. Then Earth's fleet appeared. I'm not talking about a few ships. I'm talking about a wall of vessels that stretched across visual range. Hundreds of them, thousands, all bearing the distinctive angular design of human warships, bristling with weapons I didn't recognize. "Sweet merciful void," Klopp whispered. "Where did they all come from?" "We built them," Kane said simply. "While you were busy rejecting our membership applications, we were busy preparing for exactly this scenario. 50 years of construction, 50 years of training, 50 years of getting ready for the day when the galaxy would need us, and we could choose whether or not to answer." The Kryn fleet saw the human ships and did something I'd never seen them do in any of our intelligence reports. They hesitated. "Attention Kryn invasion force." A voice boomed across all frequencies. "This is Captain James Morrison of the United Earthship Retribution. You are ordered to withdraw from Sector 7 immediately. This sector is under Earth's protection. You have 60 seconds to comply." The Kryn response came quickly, in their harsh, guttural language. My translator rendered it as, "Foolish humans, we outnumber you 3-1. Stand aside or be destroyed." Captain Morrison's laugh echoed across the channel. "Outnumber us? Oh, buddy, you have no idea how badly you've misunderstood the situation. See, humans don't win by numbers. We win by being meaner, smarter, and a whole lot more creative than anyone expects." 30 seconds, Morrison continued. "I suggest you use them wisely. Maybe call home, tell your families you love them, that kind of thing." The Kryn opened fire. What happened next I can barely describe. I've watched the footage 63 times since, and I still don't completely understand it. The human ships didn't dodge, didn't retreat, didn't even seem particularly concerned that several thousand plasma torpedoes were heading their way. Instead, they activated something. Space itself seemed to bend around the human fleet. The Kryn weapons hit. Nothing. Just empty space where ships had been microseconds before. Except the ships were still there, just elsewhere, somehow occupying the same location but not the same dimensional coordinates. "Phase shift technology," Kane said, watching our reactions with grim satisfaction. "We developed it 12 years ago, shared the research with the Council's scientific community. They said it was theoretically interesting but practically impossible. We built it anyway." The human fleet shimmered back into normal space, now positioned in perfect firing formation. "Target locks acquired." Morrison's voice was calm, professional. "All ships execute protocol scorched earth." I'd heard that phrase before in human historical documents. It never meant anything good. The human vessels fired. I expected plasma weapons, maybe kinetic bombardment, possibly nuclear warheads. What I got was something far worse. Beams of pure white energy lanced from the human ships, striking the Kryn dreadnoughts with surgical precision. Where the beams hit, the Kryn vessels didn't explode. They didn't fragment. They simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed. Erased. One moment there was a massive warship. The next moment there was empty space and a faint shimmer of exotic particles. "What is that?" Kelsith pulsed, colors cycling through shock. "What kind of weapon?" "We call them matter disintegration beams," Kane said. "They work by destabilizing the quantum bonds that hold matter together at the subatomic level. Very efficient, very clean, very permanent. Also very expensive to fire, which is why we saved them for special occasions." In less than 90 seconds, 3,000 Kryn warships became cosmic dust. The few surviving Kryn vessels turned and ran, jumped to faster than light speed, so fast they probably broke their own engines. "Sector 7 is secure," Morrison reported. "McSally home system is undamaged. 0 human casualties." "Kryn casualties?" "Yes." Kane's face remained expressionless. "Thank you, Captain. Hold position and ensure the Kryans stay away from our friends." "Copy that, Admiral." Morrison out. The command center was dead silent. I looked around at my fellow council members. Every one of them wore the same expression, absolute terror. "You could have done that to defend council space," Threx said slowly. "You have the capability to stop the Kryn completely." "Yes," Kane agreed. "We could have. We can. We won't." "But why?" Pixven wailed from her corner. "We're dying out here. Billions of beings are going to be slaughtered." Kane's eyes hardened. "And that's tragic. Genuinely tragic. But it's not Earth's problem. You made that very clear when you rejected our membership for the 50th time. You wanted us to stay in our designated sector. We're staying there. We're just bringing our friends with us. This is genocide by inaction," Kelksith pulsed frantically. "You have the power to help and you're choosing not to. That makes you complicit." "Complicit," Kane repeated, her voice dropping to something dangerous. "You want to talk about complicity? Let's talk about it. Earth spent 50 years trying to prevent exactly this situation. We warned you about the Kryn. Multiple times. We offered defensive technology. You rejected it. We proposed joint military exercises. You laughed at us. We tried to share intelligence about galactic threats. You filed our reports as paranoid speculation." She leaned forward, her face filling the screen. "We offered you partnership. We offered you friendship. We offered you every possible avenue to work together to build something better. And what did you offer us? Contempt, dismissal, condescension. You treated us like violent children who needed to be managed and controlled. So yes, Arbiter Kelksith, we're choosing not to help you. Not because we're cruel, not because we don't care about life, but because you need to learn a lesson that you should have learned centuries ago. Actions have consequences." My datapad chimed with new tactical data. More Kryn forces entering council space. Sectors 2, 5 and 8, now under attack. Our defenses were crumbling everywhere. "How long?" I asked quietly. "How long do we have before the council falls completely?" Kane consulted something off-screen. "At current rates, 17 days until total collapse. Maybe less. The Kryn are moving faster than expected. They smell blood in the water. And Earth will just watch?" Threx asked, his voice hollow. "Earth will protect its interests and its allies," Kane corrected. "The 67 species who accepted our friendship will be absolutely fine. They're already under our defensive umbrella. The Kryn won't touch them. Everyone else?" She shrugged. "Not our problem." A junior analyst burst into the command center, breathing heavily. "Supreme Arbiter, we're receiving emergency transmissions from the Council's core worlds. Panic is spreading. Riots in the major cities. Some species are trying to evacuate their entire populations. Several member states are threatening to withdraw from the Council entirely and seek Earth's protection independently." Kelsith's colors flashed red. "They cannot negotiate separately. Council law forbids member states from conducting independent foreign policy." "Council law," Kane said dryly, "is about to become extremely irrelevant. In approximately 2 weeks there won't be a council to enforce it." She was right. We all knew it. What would it take? I heard myself ask. What would it take for Earth to reconsider? Kane's expression didn't change. "You heard our terms. Unconditional surrender, complete dissolution of current power structures, reorganization under Earth's authority, full apology. Those terms haven't changed." "That's unacceptable," Threx roared. "The Council has governed the galaxy for 4,000 years. We will not surrender our sovereignty to—" "Then die with your pride intact," Kane interrupted. "I'm sure it will be very comforting when the Kryn are bombarding your home worlds." My datapad exploded with notifications. Multiple council members were contacting me privately, all saying the same thing, except Earth's terms. Anything was better than extinction. If we accept, I said slowly, what happens, specifically? Kane's expression softened slightly. Earth takes temporary military command. We coordinate all defensive operations. We stop the Kryn invasion cold, probably within 72 hours of assuming control. We implement the defensive protocols we've been trying to share for 5 decades. We reorganize council governance into something that actually works efficiently, and once the crisis is over, we negotiate a new power-sharing arrangement based on merit and contribution rather than ancient privileges. And if we refuse, the council falls. The Kryn occupy council space. Billions die. Earth fortifies its own territory and waits for the Kryn to make the mistake of attacking us directly. Then we crush them, eventually, after they've had their fun with your systems. She leaned back in her chair. I'm not bluffing, Protocol Officer Vask. Earth doesn't bluff. We prepare, we plan, we execute. You have 12 hours to decide. After that, our defensive positions will be fully established around our allied systems, and we'll be too busy protecting them to care what happens to the rest of you. The transmission ended. I looked at Kelsith. His colors had faded to almost transparent. We have to accept, I said. We have no choice. We always have a choice, Kelsith pulsed weakly. Yes, I agreed. We can choose to surrender our pride and live, or we can choose to maintain our dignity and die. Personally, I prefer living. This is humiliation, Threx rumbled. Complete humiliation. Yes, I said, it is. And we earned every bit of it. For 50 years we humiliated Earth. We rejected them. We dismissed them. We treated them like they were beneath us. Now they're returning the favor. The only difference is, they're offering us a chance to survive. We never offered them that courtesy. Pixvan uncurled from her corner, her fur matted with tears. If we surrender to Earth, what happens to us, to our positions, our authority? We lose it, I said bluntly. All of it. And honestly, good. Maybe the next generation of leaders will be smarter than we were. I opened a communication channel to Earth's military headquarters. Admiral Kane's face appeared almost immediately. Admiral, I said, my voice steady despite everything. The Galactic Council is prepared to discuss surrender terms. Discuss? Kane's eyebrow rose. There's nothing to discuss. You accept our terms completely and unconditionally, or we let the Kryn have you. Those are your options. I looked at Kelsith. He pulsed once, weakly. Assent. We accept, I said, completely and unconditionally. Kane nodded slowly. Smart choice. Took you long enough. Prepare to transfer all military codes, defensive protocols and command authority to Earth forces. We'll begin deployment immediately. How long until you can stop the Kryn advance? I asked. Kane smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. We already have. You just didn't know it yet. The tactical display lit up with new contacts. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Earth's fleet, emerging from faster than light all across Council space. They'd been positioned there the entire time, waiting, watching, ready to intervene the moment we surrendered. You were prepared for this, I said, understanding dawning. You knew exactly what would happen. You planned for it. Of course we did, Kane said. We're human. We prepare for everything. We hoped you'd accept our partnership peacefully. When you didn't, we prepared for forced cooperation. We're adaptable like that. On the display, Earth's fleet engaged the Kryn forces across multiple sectors simultaneously. It wasn't a battle. It was an execution. The humans fought with a precision and brutality that made our previous defense efforts look like children playing with toys. The Kryn invasion force, which had seemed unstoppable just hours ago, was being systematically annihilated. How are you doing this? Threx asked, watching his tactical displays with something like awe. How are you everywhere at once? Quantum communication networks, phase shift jump drives, distributed AI tactical coordination, and 50 years of obsessive military preparation, Kane listed. Also, we're really good at killing things that need killing. It's a survival trait from our Death World upbringing. Within 6 hours, the Kryn advance had been completely halted. Within 12 hours, they were in full retreat. Within 24 hours, Earth's fleet was pursuing them back to their own territory, making absolutely certain they understood that attacking Council space, or Earth's allies, or frankly anywhere humans cared about, was a spectacularly bad idea. The last transmission from the Kryn commander was intercepted and translated. It said, simply, "What kind of demons did we attack?" Captain Morrison's response was broadcast on all frequencies, the kind that offered you peace and you were smart enough not to test. Unlike some people, that last part was directed at us. We knew it. Everyone knew it. 3 weeks later, I stood in the restructured council chamber. It looked different now, less grandiose, more functional, very human. Ambassador Daniel Grant, now officially titled Interim Director of Galactic Coordination, stood at the central podium. Admiral Kane stood beside him, along with representatives from the 67 species who had allied with Earth before the crisis. The rest of us, the former council members, sat in the audience section. The reversal was complete. "Let's be clear about something," Grant began, his voice carrying through the chamber. "Earth didn't want this. We didn't want to conquer the council. We didn't want to impose our authority. We wanted partnership. We wanted friendship. We wanted to work together to build something better." He paused, looking around the room. "You forced this outcome, every single one of you. You had 50 years to make the right choice. You chose wrong, repeatedly. So now we're making the choice for you. The new Galactic Coordination Authority will operate under very different principles than the old council," he continued. "No more hereditary seats. No more positions based on ancient treaties. From now on, species earn their representation through contribution, cooperation, and competence. Defend your neighbors. You get more say. Share your technology, more influence. Help during crises, more authority. And if we refuse to participate?" someone called out. I think it was a Vexian delegate. Grant's smile was cold. "Then you don't participate. Earth doesn't force species to join, but we also don't protect species who refuse cooperation. The Kryn are still out there. They'll be back eventually. When they come, you'll want to be part of the GCA. Trust me." Kilsixth raised a tentacle. "And the apology? You demanded a public apology from the council." "I did," Grant agreed. "But I've reconsidered. An apology without understanding is meaningless. So instead, I'm requiring something different. Education." He tapped a control, and holographic displays filled the chamber. Human history, all of it. The wars, the atrocities, the mistakes, the struggles, but also the moments of incredible courage, sacrifice, and determination. "Every species in this chamber will study human history," Grant said. "Not because we're perfect. We're not. We're violent, aggressive, emotional, and unpredictable, all the things you accused us of. But you'll learn why we're those things. You'll learn what it takes to survive on a planet that actively tries to kill you. You'll learn what it means to build civilization in spite of overwhelming obstacles. And most importantly," he continued, his voice softening, "you'll learn what we learned the hard way, that strength without compassion is tyranny, that power without responsibility is destruction, and that survival without purpose is just." He looked at each former council member in turn. "Earth saved you, not because you deserved it. You didn't. We saved you because those billions of beings in your systems deserved a chance to live. They deserved leaders who would make smart choices. You failed them. We won't." I felt something crack inside my chest. Shame. Deep, profound shame. "For what it's worth," I said, standing slowly, "I apologize. On behalf of the Tremeli Confederation, I apologize for our blindness, our arrogance, our failure to see what was right in front of us. You offered us everything, and we gave you nothing but contempt. I'm sorry." The chamber fell silent. Then, one by one, other delegates stood, offering their own apologies. Some genuine, some probably political, but the words were said. Grant watched it all with an expression I couldn't quite read. "Apologies noted," he said finally. "But apologies don't rebuild trust. Actions do. So here's what happens next. We work together. We rebuild the defensive network properly. We establish real cooperation protocols. We create a galactic civilization that actually deserves the name." He smiled slightly. "And maybe 50 years from now, when the next crisis comes, we'll face it as actual partners instead of this mess." Admiral Kane stepped forward. "One more thing. Earth is establishing a new military academy. We'll be training officers from all species in actual combat doctrine, strategic planning, and tactical operations. Attendance is mandatory for any species that wants GCA military protection. We're not going through this again because you forgot how to defend yourselves. And if we refuse?" Threx rumbled. "Then when the next invasion comes, you're on your own," Kane said simply. "Earth's done saving beings who won't save themselves." 6 months later, I graduated from Earth's first officer training class. Top of my cohort, actually. Humans are excellent teachers when you're actually willing to learn. I was assigned to the GCA Defense Fleet, working alongside human officers to patrol the new border zones. My commanding officer was Captain Morrison, the same human who had erased 3,000 Kryn ships in 90 seconds. You know what I like about you, Vask? Morrison said one day as we reviewed patrol routes. What's that, sir? You learned. Most of your fellow council members are still in denial, still thinking this is temporary, still believing they'll get their old power back someday. He grinned. But you actually get it. You understand what happened and why. I understand that we failed, I said quietly. We had a chance to build something amazing, and we threw it away because we were afraid of change. More than that, Morrison said. You were afraid of being wrong. Admitting that the scary, violent humans might actually have something valuable to contribute, that would mean admitting you'd misjudged us. Your pride couldn't handle it. He pulled up a tactical display. But here's the beautiful thing about humans, Vask. We don't care about being right. We care about being effective. We'll work with anyone, partner with anyone, help anyone, as long as they're genuine about it. Even species who rejected you for 50 years. Especially those species, Morrison said, because we remember what it's like to be wrong. We've been wrong about so many things throughout our history. We learn to admit our mistakes and do better. That's the real human superpower, not our weapons or our technology. It's our ability to learn from failure. I looked at the star map, showing Earth's defensive network stretching across the galaxy, protecting dozens of species who had learned the same lesson I had. Thank you, I said quietly, for saving us, even though we didn't deserve it. Morrison laughed. Nobody deserves to be saved, Vask, but everybody deserves a chance to do better. That's what humanity offers. Second chances, sometimes third chances. Hell, we gave you 50 chances before we finally lost patience. And now? Now we work together, build something better, and maybe, eventually, you'll get to a point where you don't need us to save you, where you can stand on your own, defend yourselves, help others. He smiled. That's the goal, not human dominance. Human partnership. The galaxy offered humanity rejection, I said, remembering the title of the historical document that had started circulating through the new academy. And humanity offered the galaxy salvation. Close, Morrison corrected. The galaxy offered humanity rejection. Humanity offered peace. When that was rejected, Earth showed its fury. And then, after the fury, after the lesson was learned, humanity offered the galaxy a future. He stood, stretching. The fury was necessary. Had to break the old system completely. But the fury was never the point. The point was always what came after, building something better from the ashes. I watched Earth's patrol ships moving through the sector, protecting species who had once dismissed them as primitive warmongers. And I finally understood what humanity had been trying to teach us all along. That peace isn't the absence of the capacity for violence. It's the choice not to use it. That strength isn't about domination. It's about protection. And that sometimes, the greatest act of mercy is showing someone exactly how badly they've miscalculated, then offering them a chance to learn from it. Earth offered us peace. We rejected it. Earth showed us fury. We survived it. And now, finally, Earth was teaching us what came next, how to be better than we were. The lesson was painful, humiliating, absolutely necessary, and I, for one, was grateful for it.
The galaxy learned humanity's greatest weapon isn't firepower, it's memory. 50 years of rejection remembered perfectly. When we needed them, they made us beg first. Now the primitive ruled the stars and we're grateful to survive. Cross humanity twice, they prepared 3 times, asked the crane if any survived.